So what are the Spurs fans feeling this morning? Salty. What was your verdict on Tottenham Hotspur yesterday?
Salty.
Whenever we spoke about Spurs, it's always salty, right? Okay, because Kate gets the gets the ump if we don't call you salty.
You're disappointed that's not become my my sort of theme tune on this show. What I expected, in fact, I predicted a 3-2 Wolves victory, didn't I? When we did our BetMGM predictions on Friday, and I wasn't too far away. And I think if Mateus Cunha had not been forced off injured at half time, it could maybe have been a different outcome. But this is Tottenham. You know, they're entertaining, they score goals, they concede goals, they're treading water in the middle of the Premier League. A lot of hopes have been raised by this EFL Cup run, but let's be brutally honest. If Liverpool name half a team, half a first team, they're going to beat Spurs over two legs.
It was also a game in which Spurs went 1-0 down for the 15th time in the Premier League at home in 2024. Yeah, you heard that right. They conceded the first goal at home in the Premier League for the 15th time in 2024, the most ever by a side in a single calendar year in the competition. We should caveat all of this with the list of Spurs current injury issues. Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, Ben Davies, Destiny Udogie forced off with a hamstring yesterday. And we saw the good and the bad of the Ange Postecoglou approach, didn't we? I wonder if fans feel that his style will see them qualify for Europe eventually next year and maybe win a trophy. Philosophy and entertainment are one thing, but doesn't the perception overall of success or failure of a football club depend on results?
Yeah, it does. And maybe I was a little bit harsh on Friday when I suggested that he'd be a better circus master than he is a manager. But
are you backtracking?
I'm not backtracking, but you know, I've had a bit of stick from Spurs fans. And again, I will point out,
why would that be?
There's no anti-Tottenham agenda here. Honestly, I think it's a great place to go and watch football. It's my favourite stadium to go and watch football. You're guaranteed goals. You're guaranteed entertainment. But they're just not going anywhere, Tottenham, in terms of league. I mean, you mentioned him getting them into Europe. They're 6 points behind Bournemouth, Tottenham. If Newcastle were to win tonight, they're going to be 8 points behind them. They're behind Fulham. They're behind Brighton, who are not exactly having a vintage campaign under Fabian Hürzeler. I've already spoken about that EFL Cup semi-final. I'd be surprised if they get through. Even if they do, I think they'll lose the final, whoever they play. The Europa League, they've got a chance because it isn't a very good competition. But I say that, they've gone away from home and been absolutely battered by Galatasaray. 28 shots that game in Turkey when Osimhen on his own could have scored 9 goals. So I just don't see how Ange, even with the injuries taken into account, and I understand why that's a factor, I don't see how he's going to honour his promise to win a trophy in his second season. They look miles off it to me, and I can see why a lot of Tottenham fans are frustrated.
I wonder what the Tottenham fans are thinking now, and are they pointing to the injuries? Or do they think that even with the full contingent, they're not exactly confident that they'd be successful anyway? The lack of tactical changes are obvious. It is his style. He says, I'm going to play this no matter what. And over time, he thinks that style will breed success. But the Tottenham fans, 03717223344. And I'm all for managers having a certain style and having a philosophy. And I think one of the things that we've sort of bemoaned or did bemoan about Erik ten Hag was that he didn't have a clear playing style. But even if you do then have a clear playing style, you have to be adaptable to the circumstances. Even he has said it, being aware of the game state. He also said that he doesn't look at the scoreboard or look at the time clock during the course of the match. But, that can't be true, and it mustn't be true, because everybody has to adapt to the circumstances if you're about winning, and results are important. So I just wonder, and there is a lot of talk, and there is a bit of sort of like speculation, if he loses this game, what happens next? Or if he loses this cup tie, what happens next? Are they thinking about making a change? It would be madness. It would be utter madness to get rid of Ange Postecoglou. That's my view on it, right? What you've got to do if you're Daniel Levy is not sack the manager. You've just got to convince the manager that actually maybe you do have to sacrifice one or two of your principles every now and again and tweak your philosophy rather than abandon your philosophy. Now, he might decide that he can't work in those circumstances, and that will be completely up to him. However, in my view, if you throw him out, if you get rid of him, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You've just embarked on a new project. You've just signed a load of new players. You don't spend that much money anyway if you're Tottenham. So what's the point in now abandoning the whole project midway through the second season? That would be utter madness. You've just got to come together and convince him that tweaking is better than abandoning the whole lot, surely.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think Daniel Levy is a manager who's not afraid to pull the trigger, particularly actually when the lens turns on him, and it did turn on him a little bit with those protests, albeit half-hearted in terms of number before the game against Liverpool. There were more Enoch out chants yesterday, and once the fans start to turn their eye on Daniel Levy, he tends to react. So that's why I would fear for Postecoglou a little bit if results don't improve. They've scored 41 goals this season, Tottenham, in the Premier League. Only Liverpool, who are running away with it at this moment in time, have scored more. If you score 41 goals and you're a club of the stature of Tottenham, you shouldn't be in the bottom half of the table. That just tells you they can't defend. OK, that comes down partly due to the absentees, partly because they're asking poor Archie Gray to play in a position that he's not really accustomed to, and
but it's not just
a style of football
that
he's not accustomed to. But ultimately, it comes down to the manager's philosophy. You're leading again 2-1 at home to Wolves, a Wolves side who find themselves battling against relegation. You have to find a way to see that out. And they don't.
How can you score 2 goals against Wolves at home, score 3 goals against Liverpool at home, and not win either of the games?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ludicrous, isn't it? It shows you that the problems are defensively. And yeah, all right, I totally agree. There's so many injuries there. They've got no goalkeeper. They haven't got the 2 centre-halves that they bought. But you knew that Mickey van der Ven was going to have a hamstring problem last year. You knew that Romero was going to get injured because he throws himself into challenges hot-bloodedly. That you've got to make sure that you've got the replacements. And instead of maybe spending money on kids in the summer, maybe you should have bought 2 more central defenders that can play in your system. I don't know. Maybe that is on Daniel Levy. This is Ange Postecoglou speaking after 1 win in 7. He said, this is how the form is affecting his side.
Hurts me because I'm responsible for it. Ultimately, this is, I'm the person in charge. So of course it hurts, and when I see how hard they're trying, it hurts even more because you want them to get a reward. And I think today they deserved a reward for their efforts, even though they were kind of, like I said, dipping into reserves of energy, which I don't even know where they got from, but. I want them, I wanted them to get a reward for their efforts. And so, of course, it hurts immensely. But at the same time, like I said, it's my responsibility for where we're at right now, and it's my responsibility to try and get us out of it.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because I mean, he said something before the game when he was suggesting that journalists are trying to wind him up in post-match interviews.
Yeah, what a load of nonsense that is as well.
I don't think that's true at all. I mean, having been someone, and you are as well, who has to do those post-match interviews, there is absolutely no thought in my mind, never has been, and anybody that I work with in that little area, in that mix zone area after a game, that goes out with a microphone does not want to wind up Ange Postecoglou. What they want to do is have 3 minutes of sensible discussion so that they've got some audio to file back to HQ. He's got absolutely no desire to wind anybody up, because if you wind somebody up, you're not going to get anything that you can broadcast.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.